Podcast. I'm your host. My name is Jiggy Jr., and we're broadcasting live from our residences. And today, our episode will be about panic, breaking down panic. And we have Professor Cherry Piquero Balesca, sociologist in UP Dilliman and Toyo University, Tokyo, Japan. She is actually a retired professor of those two institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Cherry Piquero Balescas. Hi, Professor.
Hi, Jiggy. That will
Thank
also
you so
have.
much.
Thank you. That's UP Cebu as well.
UP Cebu as well, of course.
Okay.
I'd like to make a shout out to Mark Chang, who actually hooked you up for this interview. Thank you so much, Mark Chang. Okay, Professor, let's not dilly dally. Let's get down to the point. First and foremost, let's set the stage for all our viewers. Explain to everyone, Professor, what exactly is sociology? What is sociology?
Okay. Um, as the name suggests, socio means social, socios. Right? It refers to people. Anything related to people will fall under sociology. So that will be
So, it,
individual, groups, societies. Yes.
so
Simple
Professor,
sentence. That's it.
Professor,
Yeah.
how important is sociology in crafting laws of a society, in informing our leaders to govern nations, communities better? How important is sociology?
It's as important as requiring social sciences in the curriculum, Jiggy. We want to understand our people. We want to draft laws and policies that are responsive, that are that understand people, that people's behavior and so on. That will redound to the best policy for the welfare of the people. So theoretically, ideally, having social sciences input into policy making would be appreciated. However, also we assume that our lawmakers took up social sciences and understood it and passed it. It's a rhetorical question, of course, but do you think they did? Di ba?
Professor, we live in very strange times, right? Of course, everybody is very much aware about this whole COVID-19 pandemic that we're all going through. Professor, you being a sociologist in pandemics, what is the usual societal response? Because this is, of course, not the first ever pandemic. Historically, there have been several pandemics, including, of course, the one in 1918, the influenza pandemic that killed, I think, millions of people, and maybe other historical events, historical pandemics. In pandemics, what is the usual societal response, Professor?
um, Jiggy, we have been having several drills on disaster management, uh, disaster mitigation, and so on. How to meet emergencies. Meron tayong mga guidelines and so on. But this is, if you recall, if you have observed, this is the first time ever that we have a health issue, a medical emergency that is affecting not only one location, but simultaneously the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
And even if we have read about previous pandemics in the past, it's never the same as experiencing it yourself. And so what this is it's not virtual reality. This is really as real can get for everyone. So if, as you wrote in one of your guide questions earlier, there's fear. You don't know what to expect. Why? Because we know what type of virus it is, but we don't know the particular strain, anong characteristic, how can we control it, how can we contain it, and then how does it spread? We know how it spreads, but so many other questions that we need to know about the virus itself. So that's one aspect which the medical and hopefully disciplinary group can address, and again hopefully at the shortest time possible. Otherwise, in the meantime, how to cope with a virus is really causing so much fear, no? Ang first talaga dito, of course, if you don't understand anything, if you don't know anything about what's confronting you, the initial response is so much fear.
Although,
So,
Professor, although this is a pandemic, other parts of the world have suffered SARS, H1N1. In fact, I think the nations like China, Singapore, and South Korea have already experienced SARS. That's why they're the most ready people to take on this coronavirus. Just like SARS, the coronavirus, of course, is still unknown in the beginning, but they were eventually able to figure out. That's why the response was very swift, very decisive, and they are already the curve has already flattened. In fact, I think the number of cases have already gone down in those areas. So there is history in terms of epidemics in certain areas of the world. Does sociology have any data on epidemics or pandemics and the usual response? Do we
mhm.
have
I
do we
think,
have that in our books? Yeah.
yeah. Sociology has, like medicine or like any specialization, any discipline, iba-ibang
Mhm.
specializations yan eh.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's well under medical sociology.
Hmm.
I'm a medical sociologist. I'm a sociology of development, of poverty, and so on.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I,
Okay.
I, as you're suggesting, I'm sure there is. I hope you can find a medical sociologist who can address your, your question, no? Pero generally,
Okay.
generally we can speak generally na iba ang experience eh. It's a different type of strain.
Professor, knowing our tendencies, knowing our human tendencies, is there a way to prevent negative responses like panic? What should the messaging be to the masses so that there will be no panic? Because I think messaging is very important here.
You're correct. Oo. Um, the
Can we prevent that
Of course.
panic?
Kanang, what causes panic? First, people don't understand what's happening. So, mab mentality na yan, yung, oh, kanang, sani, hadlok man di mo panic ka. Pero may I speak in Visayan also, ang nahitabo,
No,
what
any language.
yes. Ang nahitabo na to, more than, of course, there was an initial uncertainty about it and the fear about it. Pero if it's not in our own backyard, as you witnessed, even if there is distancing and sabana ka ng compliance for quarantine policies and so on, so many people did not obey it, no? So kanang, which means walay general panic. Uh, Talagang on the level of communities, yet wala pa. I suppose now in Italy, because the death rate is really significant even in the States, then wala pa man kay nakita nga kanang real panic except when they panic buying and groceries and so on, pero hindi
Mm.
society panic, no? So there are certain groups that are prone to doing certain panic behavior, like the rich can afford to go panic buying because they have money to spend, and then
Hmm.
they feel entitled to certain kanang amenities, and so they panic in case they are not able to get these amenities and so on. But generally, if you notice, sa mga communities na to, it's kapit patalim all the time. Eh. They're used to a lifestyle nga either or, patay pa rin, buhay pa rin. And it's a day-to-day experience. And therefore, you don't see the urgency on their side to comply. Not because they're hard-headed, not because they do not, maybe kulang pa ang pagpapasabot nga it's your life. Pero I think, I suspect many of them understand that it's a life, that situation perhaps. But they've been there. They're always there. They're there. And so how to
Are you suggesting, Professor, that life and death is sort of the norm for the masses, especially the poor? That something like this is is not really that different from their day to day. Is that what you're suggesting, Professor?
That is how they're behaving. That is how they're
Mm-hmm.
behaving. If you notice, kaya ano, if they protest, they rally about it. It's not because they are against the government. It's because they want to stay alive, just as government is telling them. They want to survive. Pero how can you make them comply if they have no food? How can you make them comply if they have no, even if you have the cash, perhaps mahirap na rin, it's difficult to go to buy things right now and medicine. So
So,
give them the assurance, provide daily for their needs, and you'll see they'll stay home. Right now, the present mechanism, kuwang kaayo, na naaman tay kwarta, naano man tay mga barangays and local governments that are, ano, that have adopted best practices. And the beauty of this experience is the local leaders are responding faster than the, pardon the term, the inutil in Congress and in the executive. They should
mhm.
unta when they called for that special powers, special budget. One would have hoped that before they did that, pinag-isipan na may sistema na. As soon as they get it, pang, implementation dayon. Nobody gets hungry, nobody is left behind, walay nabiyaan. But what's happening? It's already 8 days. Wala pa'y plano. And then you see kanang Facebook post that says, this came from a certain senator. For all we know, that came from the budget. That's also people's money. So these things have to be coordinated. It's no joke. We are wanting to save as many people as possible. So we need a system, a coordinated system, not a system that arrests people who are doing well. I don't know why they are subpoenaing them and so on at this time. This time is crucial. No, we need to involve as many as much coordination as possible. So how to
You know,
remove that
Prof-
panic? You do a system. You save
you know,
people.
Professor, Professor, we are in the age of information, right? And this whole coronavirus pandemic or epidemic at that time started in China back in December, and things started to escalate in January, February. There were already lockdowns in Wuhan. So it was not like we are caught off guard because we were aware of what these nations were doing. I mean, I think it is the responsibility of nations, of leaders, to know how to react and to tell their people how to react. And we already have information, a lot of information. Like I said, this is the age of information. So how come that in spite of all that information that is already available to all of them, just by clicking on social media or watching on television or going to a website that is reliable, why could not we have responded better, Professor? What's the
It's
what's the reason behind that?
it's a political question. We know that it came from China. Why is it that there are Chinese planes that still keep flying in the Philippines?
Mhm.
So we knew that we had to lock out earlier.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
why? Oh, because we cannot offend our friends, etc. So it's a political choice. And it's a choice between what is good for your people and what they think is good, I don't know, for their own interest, or they're always saying it's for the good of the people. But as you have observed, what they think is good for the people is not really so. So we are
Is
observing
is
that.
it is it, is it possible, Professor, for leaders and even for societies to think nga murag di sila may tabo na mo grabe kay natabo sa China and sa Italy and all that, but dili siguro maabot diri. Is there like a denial phase in facing huge problems like a pandemic?
I know that's also part of the one of the responses. You're correct, Chiki. And denial is part of denial and choice. Those are magkakabit. yung while you do not deny it, or while you're denying it, you make your choices among alternatives. And the choices could be vital for stemming
Mm.
it, or it could be vital for saving our people and so on, or it could be really what's the term? It could be disadvantageous or
Mhm.
talagang harmful for the people and so
Okay.
on. So right now we're in that stage where, of course, it's an emergency, it's a new case, so we cannot be perfect right away. For example, this is a medical issue. Will you agree with me on that? Na,
Absolutely,
di ba?
absolutely, and that's why the responses of South Korea, China, Singapore, and other parts of the world who have relative success on this matter, we already seen what works. You know, social distancing, test as many as you can, and all that stuff. So it's not like we are deciding, without any data. There is already available data, and we should act whatever the data that we have, right, Professor?
Theoretically, yes. But again, you have people deciding on
Mm.
what information they'll take, what information kanang they will adopt, and so on. Okay. For example,
Obviously,
in the present council that's taking charge of this on the executive level, do we have really practicing doctors there? Do we have researchers in the committee? What I think people are seeing,
I don't think so.
puro man military,
Mm.
puro man politiko. Do you think that can solve it? I'm not sure about the credentials of our health executives, but do we have practicing doctors who are really able to interpret the meaning of the medical data? Or do we have medical people who are indebted to the people who appointed them? Those are crucial factors that can determine what policy is best for the nation on that.
Professor, nations like Korea, China, and Singapore, their societies are different, right? I mean, their forms of government are different, and somehow uh, uh, they're probably easier to discipline compared to us freedom-loving
Uh,
Filipinos. Don't you think so too? Isn't
uh,
this whole freedom thing has become a disadvantage in these times?
I don't think it's freedom. I think it's leadership.
Okay.
Uh-uh. Kay, we're as free can be. And of course, we are relatively not as free as the people in communist China. Uh,
Mhm.
we're not as free as those in North Korea. Nga. Una kay COVID, the news is saying, patyun ka, or that's already
Mm.
becoming a policy yata. Nagbitiw na naman ang presidente nga, huwag maggubot-gubot ka, patya. Just like his policy. So, kanang, in a sense, the government, yung pagka tight-fisted policy ng gobyerno, no, it can, you can devise a system where you do not impinge on the freedom of people, and yet work for the welfare of people, lessen the number of deaths, and so on. For example, Jiggy, the budget
Go
was
ahead.
approved last Monday,
Okay.
8 days ago. What could have been done medically was, ibaw kang daghang doktor ang nangamatay. So right away, from day one na they receive the money, unta, hibaw man silang mano nilang gipangayo ang kwarta, diretsyo na untang naanay dayong mga protective equipments in the hospitals, naanay pang quarantine stations, naanay medical response ba dayon. And then nakasabot na sila nga this is for the people, isuporta ang mga walay trabaho, ang mga dili kataon, and so on. So day one, day two na nauntay kuan, di ba? Kay urgent man. Nag-posture sila dito sa Congress, including we are here to serve the people. Kahilas ba? And that's to show you that they are just like the usual regular budget. They're asking for a check, an
But
open check, without showing you why they need that amount and for what. dapat and ano kita kanang mopalita or mga tag check sa bangko, we already have an idea why we need that amount and for what, di ba na natay plano. Where's their plan and where's the implementation? Manang, and in the meantime, people are dying, etc. We cannot afford
You know,
that.
we are already just in the beginning stage of this pandemic. Other parts of the world are already going down. They're already flattened the curve, already going down in terms of deaths, right? Or positive tests. And I think things are going to get worse before they get better, Professor. So we have a long ways to go, and I think our government's response can hopefully become more refined, if you will. Professor, my next question is. How can obviously being a sociologist, anthropologist, a psychologist, is very important in governing better, creating better societies, right? How can sociologists like you and others like you in the practice be more involved in developing better societies like us here in the Philippines?
Uh, um, there are ideal situations and there are unrealistic situations, Chiki. You know very well that no matter how you suggest, it's who is in power that will make the crucial difference. So there has always been an advocacy for policy to be informed by evidence, by experts, by science, by social scientists, and so on. There's still that gap. Um, as you know, wala masyadong evidence-based ang policies na to karon. Ideally, it would be nice if we can input. We have local governments, though, that listen and that involve people from the academy, multi-sectors, and so on, and that's good. Pero on the executive level, and they are the ones who decide right now, and this is the reality for us now, wala man ng kuan ka ng close link bitaw. We're hoping that will be the case. We're hoping in the future or in the near future or immediately now dahil link. Importante man gud kanang who are the best people who can inform you about how people will behave, how people will respond to this
In
to
the,
this
in
and
the,
that.
in the same way that you sort of try to cure a patient in the hospital, it's multidisciplinary, right? There's several disciplines. There's an anesthesiologist, a surgeon, a cardiologist,
Yes,
and all that stuff. In fact, you can go as many as 7 to 10 different doctors for one case. So,
yes.
has there been any government historically in the Philippines, any administration that has asked for all of these different disciplines for help and have actually hired sociologists, anthropologists, and sociologists to craft better laws and decide better in times like these.
Naman,
Previously, now looking.
naman Chiki kanang different administrations have had their share of kanang people in the academe and so on. Pero not so much I think at present. For
Okay.
example, I can remember kanang there were sociologists consulted by, you will not believe this, by Joseph Estrada before
Okay. Wow. Okay.
nagpa-briefing in town si Erap, showing
Okay.
his goodness about his honesty about how limited his kuan was bitaw about the
Yeah.
issue.
Okay. Okay.
Lain nga na niya or kanang I remember FVR was also listening to a number of people. He's kanang on gender, he was listening to his sister who was herself very close to social sciences and so on.
Okay.
Mga ingana
Okay.
of course daghan pod sa panahon nilang Cory and so on. So I'm sure in this administration na ang ato lang for this pandemic naa ba kay ug naa man unta, and then are they listened to even if they're consulted? How much clout do they have in really kanang uh, in really having their policy suggestions implemented? So the advisors are there, perhaps the consultants are there, pero who finally decides and on what basis? So, ato. So, anyway, what is coming out clearly now is while sociology studies people, lain-lain lain-lain ng klaseng tao, na ay tao nga powerful, na ay tao nga walay power, disenfranchised, and so on. So, at times like this, those who make policies, makitaan man og kinsa. And then, sana, rather than have more bloodshed apart from uh, the deaths or the sicknesses caused by kanang this present pandemic, di na unta ma-add pa ng more arrests, more gubot. I don't know if you have received the Facebook posts that are saying in several locations, I think maybe in Metro Manila, private car owners are stopped along the way and they are already gihulga bitaw, forced to give money kung dili scratch ang ilang car or batuhon sila and so on. So if these are true, these are signs of sa money. Desperate times na ba na people will resort to this, the worst of people can come out because they are not their needs are not responded to. And this is where we're
Professor, like
saying
I
uh,
go ahead,
where
continue for further.
we're saying unta nga, we know where these people are. Di ba? Kanang these were the people who elected them perhaps. And then barangays would be the best gauge, sana ba? They're the best people, the local governments will be the best people who can tell you kung asa ang mga kuan, ang mga pobre. I'm very proud to say nga our barangay Kabangkalan was on top of the situation, and so were the other barangays nga diha na dayong pass on the I think the second day or the first day after the policy was gipanghatod and so on. Nga, I'm sure there were already food packs that were distributed and so on. But see, their financial capacity is limited. That's why gipangayuan og kwarta sa Kongreso 8 days ago. Ug dili sila ma-replenish, you'll have more people hungry, unsure of their next means of survival and so on. So we don't want to escalate to that stage. We can still manage, release the money. Ayaw na ipaikot-ikot bitaw, and then go on trust, go on full faith, and then it can be done, man. It can be done unta ba.
Professor, I don't want to belabor the point, but I want to go back to discipline. The word that you hear all the time about people, the masses, is gahig ulo. How can we make the masses follow the rules, Professor? It's not just this pandemic. It's almost like a way of life here in the Philippines. Do we have the right punishments and incentives in society to make people more disciplined? I don't know. How do we make a more disciplined society?
or should the question be, are we diagnosing that they are gahingo?
That's what I hear all the time. But I'm not saying they are, but that's what I hear all the time. So are they really gaigo or
Kasi if you see the reports, they're saying, anong magagawa namin? Kung hindi kami lalabas, gutom kami. Patay ang pamilya ko.
Okay.
So we have to be listening to this, okay? And then people who walk beyond curfew, they want to go home. Wa sila sakyanan. So these are very clear, loud answers that should give us a proper definition of why they seem not to be following the call
Professor.
for stay home.
Like I told you earlier, Professor, we're still in the beginning stage of this pandemic, and it is going to get worse before it gets better. What is your message to all the leaders out there and to everyone who can watch this video, Professor? How should our leaders behave? What should their messaging be? And for all of us, what is your message based on your experience as a sociologist, Professor?
Okay. You know that we live in an unequal society. and therefore the impact of the and the reception of the pandemic will differ depending on the type of people, their class, their location. They can go. They have personal characteristics. They have household dynamics, and then they live in such communities and so on. Daghan ka kaayong i-factor bitaw. So there can be not just one policy related to this pandemic. The message is get to understand this is a time when we best understand the meaning of inequality and respond appropriately with policy nga matubag tanang kahinanlan. Unsa may kinahanglan sa mga katawhan? Ang una is daily survival, food to eat. And if it's medical, then give them the medicine or provide the hospital access to hospitals. And then if they get worse and so on, then you appropriately meet that medically and so on. There are also medical doctors and medical practitioners that need the equipment and so on. Then respond to that medically. But they are also people. They have to go back. They cannot go back anymore. So provide dorms for them. Nilabayan na sila o unsa pa nag-discriminate na sila and so on. And then anticipate those or listen to the voices that are speaking now about their problems and then anticipate that. That is what we need a government, a leadership should be paying attention to. Kanang multisectoral na namati sa tanang tingog bitaw niya. They meet regularly and then they're on top of the situation kay they're experts in the field. Expert does not mean kuan sila PhD sila or kanang kuan you have a farmer who's an expert in his farm and so on. So mamati kanang what we need to do is understand we live in an unequal society and therefore people have different needs that we need to respond to in this time of pandemic. So, you'll ask them to stay home. Home is different for everyone. Home is the streets for the homeless. Home is, unsa man, the densely populated, crowded home na pilami, at least unom inside a very cramped area. Or you have home nga as big as maybe the lobby of a hotel and so on. Lain-lain man ang kuan, stay home. Daliing nun, pero okay, we'll stay home, bahala nag-cramp, basta na may pagkaon, na may tubig. Mga inga na bitaw. So, mo ni mga basic needs that we have right now. Una jud hunger, poverty, meet them first. Kay then you'll see more people staying home. Pero that needs a system. It needs a system coordinating with not just the barangay. Everybody's doing their share now. Kadaghang very laudable practices of people. The taho vendor is now giving his taho to everyone. You have a small sari-sari store owner who started giving away her kanang bugas. And then you have who's this SMC, Mr. Ang, who's saying, if it's a choice between life and money, I'll go for life.
Professor, one of the best weapons that we have for this pandemic is social distancing, right? And like you said, the homes are different for each and every one of us. We have a great economic inequality. So, home could be the streets, home could be a cramped house, home could be all alone in a mansion. My question, Professor, is what do you think social isolation, social distancing will do to communities, to societies, if this goes on for months, if not years, God forbid?
First, they already corrected the term. No, it's physical distancing. Okay. Because if social distancing, it goes against the grain of human beings. We are social beings. Yeah. Man stands alone. So if it's physical distancing, wala tang problema, no. Anay problema yung mga in cramped areas, pero knowing the humor of the Filipinos, they'll find ways to make it work. They've found ways for centuries making it work despite their poverty and so on. So they'll get by. Pero ang social distancing means kanang providing for them, no. Providing for their basic needs to remain human.
No, but I'm talking about what happens after this pandemic has already been controlled. What happens to communities? And what if social physical distancing becomes a way of life, not just for a few months or years, but a way of life?
Uh,
Um, what will societies and communities look like?
Hopefully better.
Okay.
We have created a market where exchange and profits are the center, no? Hopefully,
Okay.
na human mas ang proseso. So, they're now seeing, uy, daghan man di ay wala in taon makapuyo sa maayong balay. And hopefully,
Hmm.
they will prioritize over roads and overpasses. They'll prioritize homes, talagang decent homes for the homeless or for the needy. They will prioritize kitahay, not creating the dump sites. No more, no more lands to be given to basura, but give them to people. So hopefully they'll see, looking at the positive, kuan ka na, it will be a better hope. Uy, if we go pala ka ng lockdown and so on, maayo man din ang atong environment. O sana let's have, occasionally, let's have lockdowns and so on. So, daghang positibong, daghang positibong magawa ani bitaw nga, uy, kanang, we don't have to, if you notice, we are surviving maski dili regular ang atong routine. So
Hmm.
the key word here is what was in the past that needs to be preserved and what was in the past that needs to be changed. And I'm sure that can change, no? So hopefully, the act, the compassionate act, the act of caring, taking care of each other, sana that will be the norm in after this pandemic. Unta ba?
You know,
So ako,
one of my favorite quotes, Professor, is winning or success hides all the lapses of society, but losing or crisis exposes them. Right now, all of the societal problems that we've had before this pandemic is exposed and magnified. Is that a correct assessment, Professor?
yes, yes. Oo, kasi then you see the genuine leaders, then you see and the genuine people bitaw, then you see the meaning of the beauty of a small act of kindness. And I think people will navigate towards the that side eh. Kanang, so I'm hopeful. This was sabi nga nila, we cannot go back to the same world where the same economic system. Kasi in that previous world, we were busy creating a market. We forgot to create a global home, not a global market. But now you're looking at markets that have crashed, and then but still the world goes on. And so it's a rethinking of kuan bitaw. Hopefully, kanang the best and the beauty of humankind will come out. So kunyari, I'm looking at employers who say, "We mahimo man di ay tagaan nato sila more social benefits rather than just give them the minimum wage nga maoy many other positive things that I'm hoping and all of us are reflecting on and really seeing and choosing this is where we want to go if as soon as the pandemic is gone, and then another disaster from coming. Pero this is the way to mitigate any disaster, any emergency, is to have social safety nets all the time, accessible to people, affordable to everyone. Kanang unsa ni, public funds are being used really for the welfare of everyone. Wala gyud binabiyaan bitaw. And this is
What,
the
what,
goal for 2030, no? Kanang the Sustainable Development Goals. I'm coordinating a local international network where we want to see better people, better planet, better lives by 2030. Oh, I'm so, in a sense, ni anata, we are now being processed to accelerate the construction of that world together
Mhm.
right now, because of this pandemic. So
So
um,
the process has been accelerated.
it's yeah, well, it's forced to accelerate
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
um, kasi people are especially kadang the privileged are now seeing oh, I can only survive if others survive. Oh, this
Professor, there
pandemic.
have been so many epic tragedies in human history. For example, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. The Jews in Germany had a really tragic event in for their people. How resilient are societies, Professor, and what do you think will society look like post Corona? How resilient are we? Are things going to definitely be better? And are they thinking about this like it is an extinction event, an extinction event, or this is just one of those problems, and they will go back to their bad ways, their normal ways, when we go back to what is closest to normal?
Again, that's a choice for all to make, di ba? Your generation, our generation, everybody has to decide that. In the case of Japan, they decided to just put a memorial for it, and they went on to what to make their country prosperous, and then their welfare system, they fixed it, and so on. So it's not a perfect society, but uh, compared to other societies, their health systems are this in place, and so on, no? Ang ilang employment, etc. Okay lang po, no? Pero they're part of a global market system. And that is what we need to really confront, no? Is do we need a market system where we exchange? Hindi ba pwedeng, or we exchange for money, for profit? Hindi ba pwedeng may bananas for your kuanbi? For your airplane or whatever. We may not even need airplanes and so on. We can have a different type of system where money is not so have they gone beyond it? Yes, look at Germany. And then they constructed a wall, and then they put
Destroyed
down
it.
the wall. Yes, yes, they destroyed the wall.
Mm.
And
Mm.
the resilience of people is unbelievable. There's always there's always the spirit of wanting to stay alive. Pero I will also wish to inject nga the fear is we think that we stay in this world and this is our world forever. And then I love the Pope when he said, when he went back nga, hey, while we are enjoying in this life, there's a better life out there. And it's an eternal home. So the fear could be that as well. It's a transient. We think this is the final home. So our religious leaders and our spirituality, we are spiritual beings as well. And if we focus on that, that might also lessen the fear. It may also quiet down the panic in us. Now we're not alone.
Professor, never before in the history of at least in the past 100 years have I seen the need for us to cooperate, not just as Filipinos, but as human beings.
As in the
Con-
whole world.
countries from all over the world need to cooperate because this is something that has hit all of us with no
Yes, yes,
exception.
yes,
No,
yes.
no, it doesn't matter if you're religious or if you're an atheist, if you're a socialist or whatever, you're a democracy loving person. It doesn't matter. It has hit all of us. My question, Professor, is in the past few years, if not decades, Professor, we've seen the rise of nationalism, isolationist leaders like Trump, of course, Boris of Britain. We've seen nationalistic undertones in the way they lead. In fact, I think our own president is also a very nationalistic leader. What does this mean to nationalism, Professor, when we see that based on what this pandemic has demonstrated, we actually need to open up and really cooperate with each other so that we will be able to fix things. And one of the things that we have been grappling with is the climate situation, of course, the climate change problem. We cannot seem to get cooperation from all nations. Um, How do you feel about nationalism and isolationist ideas, Professor? I don't know if you're the person to ask this. Maybe a political scientist might be a better person to ask, but I just want to know your opinion about this matter, Professor. Go ahead.
Yes, yes. You see, we live in multiple worlds. We have small worlds, big worlds, and so on. So a nation can be compared to a small world and so on. No? Pero we cannot deny the fact that we are now global. And
Mm-hmm.
to remain, to stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
This the pandemic is showing us we stay alive if we make everyone else survive. Our
Mm-hmm.
survival depends on everyone else. I think there's a message here nga, kitang tanan, all of us together in the same boat, meeting the same storm. Pero storms pass. And I think what is becoming more crystal clear, I hope, is you have two types of people: those who are good and those who are better. I don't say those who are bad and those who are good, because I think innately there is good in everyone, and people have to make that choice. Which one do you prefer to be in, and what type of a world do you prefer to be in afterwards? So the nations will can insist later on to go back to the stratification of nations, the division of nations, depending on power, wealth, and so on. Pero hopefully, they will be reminded and humbled by this present situation. Nga, we can do better. Look what a more beautiful world we can, and our survival rate will be better. Our batting average to become more human together will be better if we just
Professor,
uh, this situation. We can make this the norm.
Professor, we have a lot of leaders perhaps watching this interview right now. What is your message to our leaders, especially here in Cebu, Professor, and also our people? What is your message to them from a sociological vantage point? How should they behave? How should they react? And all that stuff. We need a galvanizing voice, and I think from a sociologist, I imagine would be very galvanizing. Go ahead, Professor.
Thank you. You're giving us more credit than we deserve. And I doubt if they will listen. But in case they are listening, we want first to thank them for doing what they think is best. But I think the gauge of what they're doing, if of what they're doing, whether it is for the people or not, is to see more people following them because they are assured. They are, what's the term? They trust that their government is helping them. The policies of the leaders are responding to their cries, to their voices. So they were elected by the people. Please listen to the voices of the people, especially those who are disadvantaged, those who really need food, the hungry and the poor who have no access to survival. And they're very real and they're legion. So please listen to the people. Uh, Public servants, if that can be your norm, it would be so beautiful. We need them, the genuine public servants now. All of us, we're part of all the people in this world. Show the best that you can. There is in us the best of us, which can survive, which can live, only if we allow others to live together with us. Now, you know, this Jiggy, this is really love your neighbors yourself, and all that kind of all. So, either way, if we want the best of humanity to come out, this is the best time, and we have seen it, and we have really felt it, and we have smiled every time we see the goodness in people. Umiiyak tayo when we see the grief of people. Na, why did they have to lose their lives? It would have been so easy to protect them and so on. So it's a cleansing process right now. It's a difficult process we have right now. And we're hoping that just like Easter and resurrection, we will have that soon. We are now going through our Calvary. We're going through a storm, but we're hoping the sun will shine. eventually. I'm what do you call, I'm an optimist through and through. Kaya talagang um, you cannot, nothing can really put us down, because we have seen our lives, how how love can really make the world go round, and we're seeing that
Mm-hmm.
now. Corny as it may sound to millennials, and ay nako, here we go again. May sound like a religious leader or what? Hindi ba ya? No, there's so much good in everyone. Just I just it just dawned on me nga, within our community, people are, di ba, they're sending food and so on. Can you imagine if we do this throughout? Wala dyan mapobre. Ay, wala'y
Mm-hmm.
mahang tao. And then
Mm-hmm.
the employers will now start to think about their minimizing the profit. We're not saying don't make a profit, but we're saying, imbis nga 1 million, pwede bang, na lang, 100,000 na lang. Kiday, put a ceiling to wealth. Nga, Gates cannot own so many billions when many billions of people are so poor naman. Let's put a ceiling. How much do you need to survive? Yeah,
You,
okay,
you
what
know,
about
Professor. One of the things that I've read is that I've learned is that to craft equal societies, you need to have a good incentives to incentivize. What I mean by incentives is to encourage people to do good, to do well. Do we have the right incentives and punishment schemes in our society that can develop a better society?
if your paradigm right now, if our paradigm is profit, 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 ah, kanang
That's right.
expand,
That's the incentive, right?
is that the correct incentive? Is that the only incentive? You have so many celebrities who have so much money, and yet they kill themselves,
Mm-hmm.
di ba? So ano ba ang proper humane incentive? So it's a paradigm shift pa rin eh. Nga,
But I hope that our minds, our paradigms do shift because some people just go back to whoever they were after a while, right?
yes,
Let's
yes,
hope
yes,
that the lessons learned from this pandemic, we are still learning them. We don't know how far and how bad this will go,
yes,
but let's
yes,
hopefully try to learn from them, right, Professor?
yes,
Before
yes,
I let you
oo.
go, Professor,
Yun ang
go
sagot
ahead.
sa panic.
What did you say, Professor? Excuse me.
Yun ang sagot sa panic. Tap the strength in you. Tap the best in
Mm-hmm.
you. And share it with others. Then, ano, try it out. We have not tried it out on a consistent,
Which
sustainable level. Huh?
which one?
Uh-uh.
What have we not tried out, Professor?
Really, really living for the other.
Mm-hmm.
Sharing what you have with the other. All the time. Hindi lang one-shot deal. Hindi lang donor-donee situation. Pero if someone poor, we cannot allow that person to be poor forever.
So make it a way of life. Well, I hope
Make the
we
way of
both
life.
hope that
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. The paradigm
uh,
shift. Walang iwanan.
mhm.
No one left
Oh my
behind.
goodness.
Walang
You,
biyaan.
you, 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 you know what, Professor? I could talk to you all day. I know you have another schedule at 5 p.m. We already
Yeah, yeah.
exceeded our time. Thank you so much for taking time off from a very busy schedule, Professor. Thank you. It is indeed an honor, a pleasure to talk to you,
And thank
Professor
you for having
Cherry
us.
Baliescas.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Chigi. If you notice, I moved, my background is different na kasi I was losing, charge. Now, anak ko, naglobat na ko. So, sige, but
Thank,
I enjoyed it. Thank you very much for allowing me to dialogue with you and your audience. And
maybe we can do it.
yeah.
Maybe
Uh-uh.
we could do it live, person to person, one of these days when times are hopefully better soon.
Yes, when there's no more physical distancing.
Yes. Thank you so much, Professor
Salamat po,
Cherry
Chief. All the
Piquero
best.
Vallescas. Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much.
Chigi.
Sociologist in UP, Dilliman, and Toyo University, Tokyo, Japan.
And
Now, of
UP
course, he's retired
Salutes.
and relaxing. And UP Cebu, of course. Thank you so much. Thank you, Professor. Thank you. You take care and stay
Bye-bye.
safe.
God
Bye
bless
bye.
you.
Thank you so much.
God
Thank you so
bless.
much. Thank you so much. Thank you for
Me too.
watching us. Of course, this is the Pilosopo podcast. And we'd like to thank our good friends from Filipino Homes. Thank you so much as well to our friends from Organic. I think you can have your Organic delivered to your doorstep. I'll post their phone number for you to have them delivered. Of course, thank you so much, Passion Cafe TV, Jake, for hosting and monitoring our podcast, our video interview with the professor. Thank you so much, guys. And you guys, take care now, okay?